welcome to the Lighten Up Podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you've chosen to join me today for episode 154, Are You Giving More Than You're Getting? If you are an over-giver out there, I'm sure this topic will be huge for you, just like it is me, and just like it is almost every single client that I work with. So many of us are not just over-givers, or identify as being overgivers. At the base of kind of our personality, our desires, our wishes in the world are to actually help and assist other people. Whether that is through business, whether that is through facilitation, whether that's through actually being in a helping profession or a healing profession, like working at a hospital or working with children, taking care of elderly, taking care of your family. Whatever it is, if you are a people person, if you are somewhat interested or invested in helping people or healing people, or even just gifting of yourself, this is a must-have conversation. And truly, beyond the conversation, it's adopting certain viewpoints that actually are more generative for taking care of yourself in the midst of all that you are doing for other people, and learning how to have a light touch with the change you desire to create in people's lives. So many of us get a little heavy-handed, heavy-fisted sometimes, where it's like, oh, I really just want to give you everything, or hey, you're paying for a session with me, so I want to give you everything. Or you're showing up at my work and my job is to give you everything. Or I love and care about you so much that I want to give you everything. And unfortunately, with that point of view that you have and those behavioral tendencies you have to go there, you don't really take into account what those people are willing to receive from you. Sometimes you giving people everything you have to give is overwhelming to other people. It's too much for them to be able to receive. It may be too different right off the bat. It may go into kind of like that overwhelmed, over-processing, heady space where it doesn't get to land in their world in a way where they could actually pick it up and run with it. So looking at your broader scope, looking at that bigger ask that you have for your life and living, if you truly desire to help, heal, uplift, transform, empower, facilitate other people, regardless of how you go about it, if you actually have that in consideration, that's exactly what you desire to do, would you be more apt to give things to people in a measured way that actually let them have ease taking it and running with it on their own? And in the process of that, you actually being able to have more ease in how you gift it. This is a paradigm shift. This is something that we're not taught to do. Sometimes we're taught to do the exact opposite, like you're supposed to basically give everything away and then, by some magical volleyball type universe, you're going to get everything back. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. And, there's some different conversations around this topic, and it's quite honestly a bigger conversation that I have with a lot of my one-to-one clients, because yes, there's a lot of capacities with being a generosity of spirit, being someone who doesn't get depleted, so they gift and they gift and they gift. I'm one of those. But what occurs, unfortunately, is when you gift and you gift and you gift and you have the expectations that it's going to be gifted back, or it's going to be received, or the person's going to have this certain amount of change based on what you're giving, things get a little bit mucky. Before you know it, the waters get murky and you're overgiving, you're getting exhausted, and then the person receiving is getting overwhelmed and totally doesn't feel inspired or empowered to put those things into action. It's one thing to give people inspiration and tools and information. It's a very different thing to give people that measured delivery where they can actually start to integrate it into their lives. They can start to feel empowered to implement it and to not only have that beautiful hope and inspiration, but actually move forward on the path of putting all of that into play in their day-to-day living. So wherever you have gone before, where you've been kind of murkying the waters a little bit, you've been over giving, they've been getting overwhelmed, or you've been giving with expectations of what should be coming back to you or what that person will be doing in the future. Will you at least let that kind of come to light now so you can make a different choice? And truly, that's all it is. This is a paradigm shift. This is a change in points of view. This is a change in your mentation as you're working with people, as you're engaging with them professionally or personally. This is a huge, huge thing. And I was talking to one of my one-to-one clients. She's in a healing profession. She works at a hospital. She does direct patient care. So she's one-to-one helping people with health and kind of like functionality in their living. She's a therapist, of course, so that's kind of what they're doing. She's so interesting because she came up and she said, every single time I leave work, every single time I go home totally exhausted. Like I am putting all this effort, all this energy out there, and I see minimal change, minimal results with people. And I end up so physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted. So she was going home at the end of the day and not having really any pep in her step to be able to engage in her life and her living for her family, for her friends, and for her creative pursuits. So I gave her this tool that I'm going to give to you, and this is something that I implemented years ago working in the hospital, because again, I was in the exact same spot. I was trying to give people every single thing immediately to bring about the change I knew was possible. But in the meantime, I was getting exhausted and I was overwhelming my clients. So this amazing tool, which may sound a little cold, it may sound a little bit disconnected at first, just give it a whirl, is to actually get real and true and really not rose-colored glasses of everybody wants all this change, everybody's going to make the choices I would make, but really getting clear of how much of a percentage of effort, of resources, of energy, that client, that person in your life, that relationship partner, whatever, is actually going to be putting into the work that you're doing together. Because the thing is, if there's a mishmash there, that's where the trouble is going to come from. If someone shows up in your office, if someone shows up in your life where they're going to put 10% of their energy in, 10% of their resources, and you're giving them 100% or over, guess what? You're overwhelming them. You're disempowering them in a way because you're sticking them with that. You're also in this crux point of overgiving. You're being heavy-fisted with what you have to gift. That's actually not a generative space to be in for you or for them. So being real and true and actually getting clear, not in a judgmental way of, oh, they're lazy, they're only going to put 10% in, I have all this to offer. Think about personal relationships too, where this comes into play. How many of your personal relationships are you the one who's always doing things for the other person? And they're putting very little effort or resources into the relationship. Maybe something to start to look at. And it doesn't mean that you pull out or pull away from your clients or relationship partners. It just means that you're present and you're showing up in a different space. You're gifting in a different way. And that in of itself may actually motivate, inspire, and open them up for being and doing more. So this trick I gave my client, this trick that I implemented myself, is every single time I meet somebody new, and every single time I go into an interaction with somebody, I take the point of view that I'm meeting someone new because they've changed since I've last seen them. I've changed since I've last seen them. It's a hi, who are you today? And I ask, cool, how much of your resources or their resources are they going to put into this interaction? I don't ask it out loud a lot. I ask it more internally, and I follow my energetic knowing. Cool. They're at a 10% today. So guess what? I'm going to back off. I'm going to take my foot off the gas pedal to the floor, back it off a little bit, and look at what I can gift them in a measured, spacious way. Guess what occurs? My body relaxes. I get more space. And the person in of itself, they actually start to be able to implement what you're sharing. And time after time after time, they start reaching for more. I gave this trick to my coworker who is quite new to kind of consciousness-based tools and energetic-based tools, and oh my goodness, did things shift. Not only did her days get easier with her clients and she sees them back to back to back to back at the hospital, but she's actually able now to do side projects that really fill her up because she has extra energy. She's spending more time with her friends and her family. There's a little bit more of this creative pop in living because she came out of pushing her way to try to change the people that she had decided she was supposed to change and heal and help and fix. She regained that space for herself to utilize her resources, her energy, her time, her space, her consciousness, her money, everything, to be able to create a life that works for her while still having the impact she desires to have on her clients. And guess what her clients' results are? They're actually implementing more tools. They're following up on their home programs. They're being more motivated. They're leaving the sessions with questions of, hey, what else do you got? They're actually starting to reach for more while they implement what she's giving because she's not overgiving, because she's not pushing with a point of view about what is supposed to happen next or what that person is supposed to do. She's being so kind because she's letting those people drive. Because after all, it's their session. And in a personal relationship, how often do you do this where you overstep and it becomes all about you in your caring and sweet nature of wanting to give and give and give and drive it a certain way? Well, you have to look at what that does to the other person. Is it actually a kindness, even in personal relationships, to pull your foot off the gas pedal just a little bit, back up just a little bit to actually allow them to reach for more? Allow them space to change and allow that beautiful space, like I was speaking to earlier, of actually showing up every day of, hey, who are you? Nice to meet you again. And allowing each other the room and groove to allow the dynamics of the relationship to change as well. This is a really important conversation. I know most of you out there listening are either entrepreneurs in healing, helping, kind of businessy relationships that are more heart-centered, where you really are looking at improving the quality of other people's lives. I know a lot of you out there are listening too, really looking at self-improvement and self-actualization and self-development and really just wanting a greater, lighter living for yourself. You know, whether you apply this in your day-to-day job, whether you apply this into your business, or whether you apply this, oh my goodness, just in your personal relationship, it is a game changer. If you currently feel like you are giving more than you're getting, if you feel like what you're putting into things isn't actually coming out generative and actually creating greater, or if you're just constantly in this overwhelmed sense where you are getting depleted time and time again and never really feeling like you're supported, this may be something that actually flips it in a massive, massive way. Super easy too. Every time you engage with somebody, cool. What percentage of their resources, their time, their money, their energy, their space, whatever, are they willing to bring to the table? And what if you actually allowed yourself to not pull out again, but allow yourself to get more spacious to gift and match that percentage? What would actually be created then? This is one of my favorite topics, as I said before, and one of my sweet spots to work with people. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, this is a deep conversation, and there are capacities here for gifting and healing and helping and facilitating others in really profound ways. It just gets twisted sometimes with our own points of view and our own weird ways of going about it. If you would love more assistance in breaking this down for yourself and learning some different tools and techniques to actually find your strength in this so that you can have more joy, more impact on the people around you, and better results in your life and your living, then I invite you to reach out for a one-to-one discovery session with me. During that hour, we can pick this apart for yourself and you can leave with more clarity and ease with dealing with your overgiving tendencies that may actually just be a capacity in disguise. The link for this session is down below in the show write-up. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.